ready? All right. So, all right. First of all, we gotta I got a comment about the fucking elephant in the room, which is the fucking eye patch. And I know I've done enough research on you that I know that you've told the story enough. And basically, so I'll tell it for you, so you don't have to fucking tell it again, which you've probably done like fucking 90 times, and it's got like the perfect elements. It's got Joe Pesci's name in there, a stuntman, and a woman who's wanting you dead, and so therefore, Nightline or Dateline, yeah. Perfect for that kind of thing. And they did a Dateline on you, and so it's out there. So yeah. If anybody wants to go figure it out, go see what happened to you. I don't want to waste any time talking about it because they can just go find it. And I've seen you talking about it before too on the other people's podcasts, although you haven't done very much considering the fact of everything that you've done. But I've got two quick questions about that whole thing. Number one is, did she only get 12 years?
Yes.
Okay, that to me seemed like a very light sentence. And how were you involved? Did you walk away from that situation, or were you in court? Or 12 years, you got shot 4 times, once in the fucking noggin, and how is that? I see some black guys are fucking spending fucking 12 years in jail for shoplifting. So,
Yeah, I was a part of it. And the DA literally called me and said that she's wanting to plead a deal. And when she told me what it was, I believe it was 14 years, what she said. She got off with 12, right?
Is that federal? So she's actually done, is she out?
She's out now, yes. Yeah, and my daughter said. So, to be honest with you, look, when you get shot, and I don't know if you believe in God or not, right? But when you
I believe in God when I'm laying there.
I was going to say you will believe in God when you'll believe that. Oh my gosh, is heaven or hell real? Yeah,
in a foxhole.
You got it.
Yeah.
So after I left that, I felt like, man, I realized one thing, and everyone says this: if you want to, when you die and you get judged. Yeah. You're going to be judged the way you judge other people. Well, you'll be given forgiveness the way you forgive other people.
Okay. Yeah.
So I came away after that forgiving everyone of everything, including her.
Yeah.
And so then I also realized that I have a daughter to raise, and I don't want my daughter to think that, she has this mother that is a psycho killer. I want her to realize that, her mom loves her and she's a good woman, and that she has a father that loves her and he's a good man. So afterwards, I literally said, this is fine by me. Take the plea. I'm okay. And the DA didn't want to. The DA said, listen, we can make this happen. We can make her go away for
So that was your decision? More than the DA's? Yeah.
So the DA called me and said she has requested to make a plea, which means that she's not saying she did or didn't do it, but she is requesting a plea. And she says, I have to ask you if it's something you want to do. Okay. And I said, take it. And she goes, no, wait, hold on. That means she's only going to get, 14 years.
You can hear Jim now.
Jim's
with us.
I just logged on.
There you go. So I pretty much said, look, guys, I have a daughter. She needs a mom. At one point, she's going to get out.
Not this mom or your wife?
No, that
mom.
Yep,
her
that
mom. Her mom.
Yeah,
okay.
I have an older daughter.
Wow.
And, I really wanted her to know that, look, no matter what's going on, her mom's a good mom and loves her very much. And I'm her dad that loves her very much, and I want her to still have a normal life. So I was like, I'm fine. Give her the plea, and we'll move on. As long as we've moved on, it's great.
Wow. Well, good for you, man. That is a very forgiving. That's, if there is a God up there, you're definitely going up there, not the other direction. One last thing on that. And what kind of recovery was that for you? Were you out for 6 weeks, 6 months?
3 weeks. Yeah. 3 weeks.
What?
3 weeks.
3 weeks and you're up and out?
Yeah.
And why?
Did you need much physical therapy? I would think you'd have to basically start that almost all over again. Of course, you didn't really sustain a brain injury, though, did you?
No brain injury. Bullet just, went through the right orbit and came out my left jaw right here. So it kind of passed through in a very good way where it didn't hit anything bad.
Lord.
Yeah. And no physical therapy. got out. 3 weeks later, I was back to, I had a gym that I was running at the time. And so I went back there and started back to work.
And you, my last question about it, and that is why the eye patch and not the Sammy Davis? Didn't Sammy Davis Jr. have the...
Yeah.
Yeah. Those things have been around for 50 years. There must be some reason why that didn't work for you.
So when the bullet went through, it messed up my orbit. So you have, those fake eyes, they track pretty well with your other eye.
Okay.
So it doesn't look like you're goofy. Well, mine messed up my orbit, so it didn't track well. Okay. So I was always cross-eyed.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. I looked like the buzzard in, Looney Tunes in Bugs Bunny. Which way did he go? Nope. It was horrible. So I remember, on the very first Avatar, I wore it. When we shot the first Avatar, I wore the fake eye. And then I saw a playback of me behind the scenes. And I was, oh no, that's gone.
I don't get it. What you saw?
So I saw me, like they were doing, some scenes from behind the scenes, and I was back there like holding stuff, and you see me like playing the creatures and stuff, and I look cross-eyed.
Oh, you weren't wearing the patch.
No, I was wearing the fake eye.
Oh, the fake
glass
eye.
I had the glass
eye. Okay.
Yeah, I had the glass eye in the first Avatar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Jim, everyone
we're really uncovering some deep stuff here.
Jim used to laugh too. He's like, I don't know which eye to look at, And I'm like, just pick one. I don't care.
Okay.
Whichever one's working. Yeah,
well, this Jim Cameron, this Jim, we did this when we were talking to Jim Cameron. He makes a joke about a one-eyed director doing 3D.
Well, Jim made a point about how to get real 3D, you have to have separate input for each eye. And then the images merge in the cortex, and then, he went on to give his...
Okay.
Welcome to my life for 20 years. Yes.
Okay.
We did the first movie. And he hadn't shown anybody any scene. It was the Viper Wolf scene. It was the first thing we had done. He calls everyone up. You guys got to see this. This is the best 3D you've ever seen in your life. And all of a sudden he looks at me and I'm looking at him and he's like, oh, except for you.
Except for you?
Yeah, because I can't see it.
Oh, you're not going to see it.
Oh, because you truly can't see anything in 3D because you only have, wow.
Yeah.
So
like,
I'd never,
sorry,
okay.
man.
So, yeah, okay. Well,
But on this, so from 2 on, he taught me how to see 3D.
Were you on one?
Yes.
You on one?
Yeah.
Yes. And that was the one where you didn't wear the eye patch.
That's right.
Okay. All right.
So after that, I had seen the behind the scenes. So I bought an eye patch right away.
Right.
And that was the last time I ever wore the glass eye.
Okay.
I said, fuck it. I'm going.
Right.
Sorry, I don't know if I can say that.
Yes, you can.
Okay,
You can
good.
swear all you want.
So then 2 on, from movie 2 and 3 on, he taught me convergence. So every shot I would do, so I had to shoot, so I shot second unit. Most people, that are tuning in, you guys, I was the second unit director as well as the stunt coordinator for Avatar 2 and 3. And when I would do a shot, I had to check the 3D of it. And I couldn't see 3D, so he taught me about convergence and seeing the points in space and watching on the screen where those convergence points were. And if they were in a certain spot, then it was good 3D. And so there was, so there was times where I would go back and I'd go into the booth and everyone's like, what are you doing? Why are you watching 3D? And I'm like, I'm just looking for the convergence points. I don't know if it's good or not until I see the convergence.
Oh, wow. That's very interesting. I mean, I met you when I had a stroke and I actually lost some sight in my right eye for good. And so I don't have full vision in my right eye, and I didn't, know it until I used to play racquetball, and when I all of a sudden the ball would just fucking, when it was at a certain spot, it would just fucking disappear. So, was there anything about what happened to you that I'm going back to it, but was there anything about that you said like, yeah, I really shouldn't be here, and therefore, I'm gonna fucking give it
Yes, I literally tell my friends I'm in the bonus round of my life, anyways.
Right.
This is all extra credit.
Right.
So I got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
I got nothing to fucking lose.
Yeah.
And so after I did get shot, my career actually went up because I had no qualms. I had no hangups. I could care less if someone made fun of me. I could care less if I fell on my face. I was going to just have no reservations.
Well, I've sparred with you, and I can't imagine anybody making fun of you. Always, Jim. Just so you know this. Always, when you spar with somebody, and we used to do it with Cameron and go down there, and we would spar a little bit, and I would spar with him, and as a guy who's not. All of a sudden you start fucking feeling great about yourself, and you think you're Muhammad Ali, and we're supposed to like tap each other,
Yeah.
But there was, you get a little bit excited, and there was one point where I got too excited. And Garrett kind of tapped me back. Yeah. Probably gave me about 10% of what he really had. I was like, oh yeah, okay.
It's fun because once you get into a rhythm with someone, you're like, all right, let me see if he wants to have a little contact, more contact.
Yeah.
Because for me, I know, I realize that now. I learned that. Trust me, I know. But I guarantee all the fighters are listening to this. Like, no, he's right. It's like I didn't haul off and hit him as hard as I could. But it's like once you start getting into a mix-up with someone and they're moving with you and you're moving, you're like, all right, let me see if he wants a little contact. Right. And you're like, no.
Yeah, no. So you were working in a gym when, and you were working out. Tell me who that guy is that you were working out with, and why that gym was so successful that you had people like Shaq and all these. Name some of the people that were working out there and why they were working. Because I used to work out with Shaq at Billy Blank's studio, so that was kind of a trendy Billy Blank's type of thing. And what is this place that had all these all these famous people there?
So that's where I actually first met you, at Billy Blank's place over in Sherman Oaks on the second floor. I was there, and I was training Wayne Gretzky and Gene Simmons, and
Is this before the eye?
Yes, I had red hair and 2 eyes back then. It was before I went bald and had an eye patch.
Right,
Thank you.
Okay.
Anyways, that's where I first met you years ago.
Okay.
And so then,
it was Billy Blank's place then.
That was it back then. But then he went on to doing other things. And at the time, I wanted to do a movie called Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
And so I said, hey, listen, these guys want me to go, and it's a really good movie, and I'd like to go.
As a stuntman, correct?
As a stuntman, yes.
Right. And you'd never done stunts before, right?
No, before that I did. So the first thing I did, I was at Billy Blank's, and I had met a producer and a director, and they were doing a TV series in Hawaii called The Raven, and it had a guy named Jeffrey Meek on it, as well as Lee Majors.
Yeah.
So I went out there and did it, and that's when I started doing stunts.
Okay.
Because they wanted a karate guy, and while I was there, they taught me stunts.
Okay.
How to get hit by a car.
By the way, how far up the ladder in martial arts did you get? I mean, how good were you compared to, were you like?
I was good.
You were really, really good or lousy? You just
really, really good.
Really good.
Yeah, I was world champion. I had multiple belts, and I did everything from Muay Thai to Taekwondo to, I was
so did you grow up and start that at like 5 or 6 or 7 years old, or?
I started it young at about like 12 years old.
12.
And I stopped for a couple of years, and I got back into it when I was younger. And, it was one of those things where it was something that I had always done my life. And, as I got older, I wanted to start getting into boxing. Then I got into, trying to fight, boxing. And, I did really good.
Okay. All right. Good. Well, I can see by your smile that you're very happy with where that went for you. So some guy comes and sees you in the gym, says, continue with
Go to Hawaii, learn to do stunts for, 2 seasons.
When you say learn to do stunts, what's that mean?
So there's no
stunts that I've seen are like, there's not that much of a learning curve involved.
So first of all, being like a really like premier fighter, right? Yes. I was able to do all these aerial kicks, flying scissor kicks, backflip kicks, all kinds of stuff. So I was very skilled at doing very flashy martial arts stuff. So they brought me out because I was very talented, and I was the right size for this guy.
Okay.
Now, when I was there, they just felt that, look, it would be better for us to not carry 2 people. We'll just carry you, and we'll teach you the ropes. And the stunt coordinator felt, hey, listen, you're a pretty handy guy. A guy named Gary Baxley.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
he was Craig Baxley's.
Craig, I worked with. Well, he went on to become a director.
Yes, he
and
did.
this is one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about because you're directing now, and it's one of the things that I've always, in my mind, Garrett, it's always seemed to me that stunt people and actors have kind of different minds, and that's why you don't see that many stunt people go on to do what you're doing right now, because they are shooting second unit a lot. But I've always felt that there's a left brain, right brain type of a mentality, and there was Hal Needham, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
And I'm sure there are a number of people, but if anything really kind of sets you up to be a director, doing second unit is kind of a good learning ground, correct?
100%. I mean, I will tell you this. The hard thing about, if you become one of the premier second unit directors, and you're doing very well, you're making very good money. And so then to take the down step to becoming a first unit director is a real big step back when it comes to your payday. I mean, a real step back.
Yeah.
For most part, a lot of stunt guys, they might be good directors. They really will. But a lot of them, they're making like 35 grand a week.
Oh, I see.
And then to become a director,
oh, I see.
You're getting paid,
less.
Way less.
Okay.
Not even less.
A lot less, yeah.
Way less.
Okay.
Because when you start off, they pretty much pay you one lump sum for the movie, but that movie could take you 60 weeks. 60 weeks.
And it's pretty much scale, isn't it?
Yep.
When you're starting up as a director?
Yep. And so that's like, the person that I modeled myself after, the person that kind of taught me and that I wanted to emulate was a guy named Vic Armstrong. He was a very good second unit director. He did all the Indiana Jones, British guy, probably one of the best second unit directors out there, And at one point I remember, saying, hey, you're a real good director. Why don't you go off into directing? And he said, because I like money.
Because, I'm sorry, what?
I like money.
Because you like money.
I get. I get paid way too well.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, as a second unit director, you don't have to do as a director, as a first unit director.
Yes.
You're probably going to lose the first year of your life.
Yeah.
Just trying to get the movie going.
Yeah.
And you're not getting paid for that.
Yeah.
And it's for like 1 year, you're taking meetings,
Yeah.
you're talking to actors, you're talking to producers, and you're not getting paid.
I got you.
I mean, maybe the Chris Nolans are, maybe the Jim Camerons are, but the rest of us aren't.
Yes.
You're pretty much just trying to hustle.
Right.
And then you finally get on your movie, right? And they're still not going to pay you yet. Not until you're greenlit and you're ready to go. And then they're only going to pay you for that chunk of movie that you're going to do. So, it could be 3 years of your life that you're now
not
giving
getting
up.
Paid
just
for.
You're just getting that one check for that.
One stipend for
Right.
directing. And when
All
you're doing your first...
All on spec.
That's right.
Okay. Okay. Well, I just wanted to mention, so you... when I saw your name come up, Jennifer and I went and saw Avatar, and Jim was there, and so we saw it in the right place, and I saw your name came up as second unit director, and it just hit me like a truck that I just remembered you. Not from Billy Blank's days, but from when I went down, I was working out with Jim. That was right after I had my stroke. Jim had seen me kind of like moping around. He said, why don't you come down and work out with us? Yep. And I did that for a while. And I think I told you the only reason I quit was that you had to stay down there, but that drive home for me was fucking 4 hours, coming back during traffic. But one of the things that I want everybody to realize is that, okay, and we'll get into all this sort of stuff, but Jim Cameron's, you have credit as second unit director on this last Avatar that I saw, okay? But you've worked with Steven Spielberg, you've worked with Peter Jackson, you've worked with Tim Burton, you've worked with Paul Thomas Anderson, you've worked with Doug Liman, right? Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of you have worked with not just Avatar, and I would think like the last, I mean, you've done a lot of work for your age. Let's put it that way. I mean, like just finding your way into the business and then, getting into stunts and then going into second unit. But working for these kind of guys, that stuff just doesn't fall out of the fucking sky. You don't just go like, from nothing to working for. These are all the best of the best, including Jim, of course. So you tell me that you went from stunts, and when did you start shooting second unit?
I started shooting second unit actually. Basically, I became really. So I was the stunt double for Mickey Rourke for a little while.
Okay.
Right. And we had done a movie called Point Blank in Fort Worth, Texas. I was his double on Iron Man 2, things like that. But back on Point Blank was the time where I was shooting second unit. I was a second unit director. And then from then on, I started to move into the second unit world. But I got my DGA card when I was, right after the first Avatar. I was doing a movie called Mars Needs Moms, which is a performance capture one again. And it was for Bob Zemeckis' company. And I got Bob to sign the card. I got Jim Cameron to sign my DGA card. And I got this other director, Simon Wells, to sign the card. And for those of you guys out there that don't know this, to become a director, to go into the DGA, you can't just do a movie and become a DGA member.
Directors Guild.
That's right, the Directors Guild. You have to have sponsors. And so I had really good sponsors.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so basically, what I was doing was, at that time, I had already directed second unit, but it was not under the guise of being paid as a second unit director. Sometimes you have to work on movies and just do that because, you're just trying to make your way. But that's the first time I was able to get my card, get, myself into the guild, and that was it. From then on, I was doing second unit, and I would do second unit on everything from Logan to... Explain
to the audience what a second unit director does.
So a second unit director is usually required to not just shoot action, because sometimes people think second unit directors are only action. Sometimes second unit directors are there to clean up scenes that other directors, so the director might not be able to finish the scene or didn't get some of the shots they need or need other pieces to make the scene work. So our job is to either finish the scene that wasn't completed or shoot, an action sequence that really is going to use actors, like a car crash or a building blowing up and people running down the street from, aliens coming after them, things like that. So our job is to do the things that aren't going to be so dedicated to a first unit director that, we couldn't do it.
Okay. And when did you, so you started shooting second unit at when?
So right after I did a movie.
Kind of take me through your timeline here as far as second unit director and how you ended up working with all these guys.
Okay, so here's the thing that happened. I started.
I'm gonna let you talk for a while, okay?
I shot a movie.
And it's very rare, by the way. So
I shot a movie called Chill Factor. And it has Cuba Gooding Jr. and Ski Ulrich, and this was back in 96. And in it, I got hit by an 18-wheeler. I was doing a motorcycle stunt, and I got hit. And, they had to revive me and put pieces of my leg back into an ice chest and fly me in a helicopter.
Oh, my God.
And fix me in Colorado. And I was in Moab, Utah, and I got hit, and they had to bring me back. After that, I thought I wasn't going to be able to do stunts anymore. So I used the money. So basically physical therapy and workers' comp will tell you, look, if you can't keep doing your job, we'll pay you to do another job. What other job do you want to do? And I didn't know anything else I wanted to do other than, movies. So I went to night school at UCLA for their night school, their night program for film.
Yeah.
And I either wanted to be a camera operator or a director or something else. So I went for directing and camera operating.
Okay.
And then after that, my leg healed pretty well. And I was able to get back into doing stunts. And so once I got back into doing stunts, I also had this newfound idea of how to make movies in a better sense.
Yeah.
So then I took that and I said, listen, I almost died. I'm going to take chances. And so I heard a buddy of mine told me that Robert Zemeckis was going to do a movie called Beowulf. And he was looking for a stunt coordinator. And I was like, well, Bob Zemeckis is one of the greatest directors in the world. I'm going to do it. So I didn't have much money because I was on workers' comp at the time, but I took whatever little money I had and I got my friends together and I shot what I believed was my version of Beowulf. And then I got in, my buddy was able to get me in to see him, and I walked into his office and I showed him this video that I shot on a Sony Handycam of what I thought Beowulf was. And he was like, whoa, that's really good.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
You got the job, kid.
What year was this?
And this was back in what? Oh, man.
I know. I'm not good at this kind of stuff either. So in the 90s?
99, 2000.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
So, So 99.
that's kind of a, like when I auditioned for Jim Cameron and got that part, that was a big break. This sounds like this was it for you. You went out, and instead of just going in and meeting him, you went out and shot your version of the movie on a beta, whatever it's, and brought that in and showed that to him.
Yes.
And wow, that's.
And I was using. I had an Apple at the time, and I was using iMovie to cut it together, which was really like
really?
my kids. Oh yeah, wow. That was it. And we were using those little tiny tapes, those mini DV tapes, and that's what I was shooting it on. And he said yes, got it. And so then
what was the name of the movie?
Beowulf.
Okay.
So then Jim Cameron comes to the set because he's going to do a movie. And while he's there, I go, oh, hey, listen, I heard you're doing a movie like this, and now I have an awful lot of experience. Do you have a stunt coordinator? He goes, well, no, I don't. And I'm happy to, get a meeting with you if you want. And I go, great, this movie's almost done. I'd love to come and meet you. So I go and meet him, and this is the one, he had the Lightstorm building down in Santa Monica, if you remember upstairs.
Yeah. That's where I saw the
There you go.
Yeah.
So I went down there, and once again, I took a lot of the money that I just made on Beowulf. I rented a soundstage over at Culver City Studios, right? And I got my buddies together and had some stunt riggers and all that stuff, and did my version of Avatar.
Oh, wow.
And so I came in. John Landau was there, God rest his soul. And, he says, oh, I remember you. And I said, well, I have a meeting. And goes, oh, well, if you have a meeting. And then Jim's in there, and I walk in, and he says, all right, listen, let's go ahead and talk about what I go, well, listen, I made a movie. He goes, you made a movie? And this is back, I burned it to a DVD back then.
Wow.
And so I put it in, and I hired this girl who was a rhythmic gymnast, and she was like a gold medalist, way back in the day. And I had her do what I believe was
as a gymnast.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I had her do the Avatar movement. So that Na'vi walk that you see was basically in her name. And so it was basically designed by her.
Really?
And this is me and her doing this whole movement and all this stuff way before I was going to work for Jim in 2005.
This is just for your presentation.
Have you read the script?
This is just for
what?
Yep. Huh?
He was asking if you read the script.
I didn't read the script. However, the first AD had told me ideas behind it, and so I had to just come up with what I thought it was going to be. And so I had done movement. I had bought these drywall stilts. And so, because I knew that there was tall creatures, and I was like, well, here's a way that you can do it and just walk around, and it's not like those ones that bounce, right? Yeah. And so I remember playing the movie for him, and he goes, let me see what you got.
How long was it? Do you remember?
It was like 10 minutes. It was like 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was always taught if you go more than a minute and a half, you're too long. Okay. And so I had 3 minutes, and I was like, oh, I hope he doesn't hate this.
Okay.
Trust me, it was like 10 minutes at
first. I don't bore him. Yeah.
Yeah. No, trust me, no producer or director wants to see more than a minute and a half.
Okay.
Nobody.
Okay.
So I put the movie in, and he starts watching, and he goes, no, that's stupid. No, I would never do that. No, that's no good. Oh, that's pretty interesting right there. I mean, I would never do that, but that was interesting. Oh, well, hey, are those drywall stilts? Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Oh, I like that movie you just did there. Oh, hey, that's kind of cool. Now, you know what? That actually, there's a thing that we have a stick fight in my movie that might be kind of good. You know what? All right. And he didn't even finish it. He stopped it. He goes, it's pretty good. All right. You got the job.
Wow.
And he gets up and walks out of the office. And I was like, right now you guys can't see it, but my eye was like, well, my one eye is wide and like faced around, right? And so, and I'm wearing my fake eye at the time, and I'm like, wow, that's cool. So I go over and I hit the eject button. I get my DVD out because I want to keep my DVD,
of course,
right? And I walk out and I'm in shock right now.
Yes.
And John Landau's there, and he goes, "How'd it go?" And he goes, "He said he'll see me in the fall." And he goes, "Guess you got the job then." And he walks away, and I was like, so how do I get the job? Like are you guys gonna call me or show me my email? Someone. You know, and then the secretary is like, don't worry, we have your contact info. We'll let you know. And I go, okay, great. And I literally got in the elevator, and as you know, the elevator takes you down. And there's a guard, you know, a parking structure guard that lets you into the elevators. And I was doing the hockey dance, like you just scored a goal, right? And the doors open up, and he's looking at me. He's like, good day? And he goes, oh, best fucking day ever. I'm like, oh. And I walk out, and I grab my ticket, and he's like, congrats, man.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's the rest of my career.
Well, that's going the extra mile. Yeah. That's going the extra mile that you would, for both of those guys, that you would actually, you know, and it's that's so much like Jim. It's like, nah, I don't, what? Oh, yeah. You know, because Jim is very blunt.
Yes,
and
he is.
He's very blunt.
Direct.
And he's very sarcastic, as we know. And but when he sees something that he knows that, like, maybe he didn't think of the way that you were thinking, but you were getting to the same end, sort of. Yep. Like, I'm sure that's why Jim went like, oh, you know, like, so you had a 45-minute, 1 hour meeting with him, and you were hired, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was 15 minutes. 15
minutes. Okay. So when you went down to do, all right, so you get Avatar, and he hired you as what?
Stunt coordinator.
Stunt coordinator. Okay. So you're stunt coordinator on Avatar, and you are going to go to immediately not New Zealand? You go to New Zealand first?
No. So we shot.
Take me through the beginnings of working with Jim and meeting the cast and some of that stuff.
So we were first filming the very first Avatar at the Spruce Goose hangar in Playa Vista. Okay. So for those of you people that don't know this, way back in the day, the biggest airplane that was built was a thing called the Spruce Goose. And it was built back in Playa Vista. And it's a historical moment because the person that did it was Hughes.
Howard Hughes.
Howard Hughes,
Hughes, right.
And it was made out of wood. That's why they called it the Spruce Goose.
That's right. And it was like Titanic on wings, right?
Yeah. It was huge.
Yeah.
It flew once, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
And it flew what, a 10-foot elevation?
Yes. Yeah.
It got no higher than that off the water.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
So I think the Wright brothers' flight was longer. That's true.
I love this. This is a harsh crowd, but you're right. Thank goodness Hughes isn't here. Anyways, we're shooting in this space, which I'm absolutely in awe of because everyone's telling me.
Is this down in Manhattan Beach?
No, this is Playa Vista.
Okay.
So now, Manhattan Beach is much further further south on the coast, guys. Okay. Playa Vista is this spot that's much closer to like Culver Studios, you know, and basically these were just hangars. And, you know, we get there, or I get there, and it's not much of a space. It's like a video game space. It's a place called Giant Studios, right? However, in the other hangar, he's going to turn that into his stages that he's going to create the first Avatar at. And really, this was like an independent movie at first. You know, because when I got there, I thought, oh, this is a James Cameron movie. But then you get there, and it's really kind of, you know, nuts and bolts, and there's not much special there. There's no trailers. It's really just, you know, and he's looking around going, look, this is a whole new technology. There's a whole new frontier. So, no, I don't have the luxury of the budget that I had on other movies. We were actually going to shoot this movie only for, I believe the movie was supposed to take like 3 or 6 months.
Yeah.
And it took us 5 years.
Yeah.
So wrap your head around that, guys.
Well,
and
I want you to explain, but keep going, but then I eventually want you to explain why did Jim really think that it was going to only take that long, and why, and then why did it end up being 6 years? And like, I mean, you can't speak for him, but
yes, we can.
Okay,
you and I both can because we know him.
Okay, go ahead.
Jim knows.
Well, you know, did he think that he was going to have that thing? No.
He just made Titanic. It was like a year over. Listen, I remember. So, guys, I'm going to teach you guys a little bit of lessons that I've learned from Jim. We were on Avatar, the first Avatar, and at one point, and the two of us were sitting up high at one point, and he gives me this gem of information because we're just by ourselves. And I look at him and I go, hey, you know, you just finished Titanic, you were like a year over schedule, and here we are, we're like 2 years over schedule. I mean, do you always end that far over schedule? I mean, don't you ever want to like finish like kind of close to the schedule? And he looks at me, he goes, let me tell you something. No one ever went to a movie and said that movie sucked, but at least it finished on budget and on time. And I went, okay, duly noted, I agree.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, so make the best fucking movie you possibly can. Let them pull the camera from your dead cold hands.
Wow.
And I go, okay.
Wow,
And he goes, so, when I do a movie,
Let them pull the camera from your dead cold hands.
He goes,
did he say that to you, or did you just?
No, he said that.
I can picture that.
You know him. That's exactly
I know.
what he said.
Yeah.
He hits me with the most unbelievable things. So, however, so most of you guys don't know. So I just went on and directed my first movie. It's a movie called Painter with Walton Goggins starring, as well as Amber Midthunder. Anyways, I had pitched for the movie with a company and, got it. And then I had told him about it. And he says, I'll read the script, give you some hints, but I'm not doing it. This is for you. I don't want to do that to you. I'm like, okay, great. So basically, I eventually got him to be my executive producer, and he eventually got me to get Fox to be the company, which is Disney now, that did produce my movie. So when I was doing it, we had this conversation, and he's like, all right, listen, just remember something, okay? You want to make sure that you get the next 2 movies, not just this one. Don't go in there and piss people off, man. And I go, oh, like you? And he goes, no, listen, I can. He goes, but you don't have that luxury right now. And I go, okay. He goes, listen, you want to finish on budget and on time, okay?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. He goes, listen, you make a great movie, but at the same token, remember something. You have to do something that's going to make them want to hire you again. And I go, okay, great. So that's something that I learned. He goes, do as I say, not as I do. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Back in the 80s, as you know, it's a much different time period than it is right now when it came to making movies.
Yes.
So nowadays, box office is different. Streaming is different. Yep. You have to think in terms of the bigger picture, and you can't just think in terms of making a great movie that's going to win over a box office audience. You have to think of making sure the studio is happy, you can work well with the studio, and that's a piece of information he gave to me, guys. Right. So now when we were doing Avatar, going back to Avatar 1 now, we were set up to do this movie for just that short amount of time. And he was, of course, saying to everyone, we can do this. Don't worry, it'll be fine. But something that the world needs to know is that Jim will say that, however, not mean that. He will mean it to you, but in his mind, he knows, I'm just going to do this amazing movie. And I'm going to knock the socks off of everyone. And then they're going to say, all right, you know what, just keep going. And that's what he does, He says, listen, yes, whatever your rules are, I'll play by those rules. You got it. And then he goes out there and he makes something so mind-blowing good that everyone's like, well, if you need another year, you got it, And he's like, well, I need another 2 years. So you got it. And I used to remember being on the set and seeing an army of suits, like 6 guys, who are all studio heads, execs coming in, and it looks like they're there for blood, and they come in with the faces of seriousness, right? And they walk out like they are just smiling, like Dazzled. He just sold them the greatest car in the world. He's such a car, dude. He leaves, and I turn and I go, dude, those guys came in. I know they were going to pull the plug. He goes, yep. And I go, what'd you do? And he goes, listen, I'm really good at making movies, but I'm even better at selling people. And I was like, okay. He goes, I took him upstairs. I showed him the movie. I told him the grand scheme. I told him the bigger picture. They all understood. And, Jim's a showman, more than a director. I'm sorry, guys. He's a great director. But something you guys don't know is before Jim was a director, he had every job in the book. He really did. He was painting sets. He was a prop master. He worked in construction as well as in, so this guy was constantly performing for people, like winning people over, doing job interviews, saying, hey, can I do this job? Don't worry, I'm great at this, and he'd show people even though he didn't know what he was doing. So here's a guy that was doing what I was doing, basically, and that was trying to win people over and then learn on the job how he was doing it. And so like when you say, how do you learn stunts on that TV show? Yeah. Of course, if you've got the ability, if you've got the wherewithal, you can learn anything. You really can. You just have to put your mind to it and not see the not see the wall in front of you. See the goal, the end point, and that's what he always saw. A lot of people will see the wall in front of them. They'll say, "Oh, this is going to take 3 years for me to learn how to do something." Yeah, but he sees, no, it doesn't take 3 years for you to learn how to do something. He sees that there's certain key points that you can learn now. that will get you through what you need to do right now, and that will get you into the rest of what you need, and you'll find the people that you need to work with that will keep things going. And it's not about knowing all the answers. It's about knowing when you don't know the answers, you know, and finding the right people that do know the answers and being able to win them over to work with you, you know, and that's what Jim does. But now Jim knows all the answers. So, you know, it's bullshit. Now it's like Jim knows my job. He knows your job. He knows everyone's job.
Yeah, but he can't do mine, thank God.
Dude, did you see him on Entourage?
Oh, well, no,
Hey.
yeah, no, but he can't play the characters that he wrote for me.
You're right.
You know?
You're right. You know what? But I'm going to be honest with you. You know, I watched him play Slang way back in the day when we were just like getting this thing going. Yeah. And, you know, he hits dialogue really well.
Yeah. Well,
and listen, you know, we'll set up a scene, and most of you guys don't know this, but when we set up scenes, stunt-wise too and action-wise, Jim does it. Jim jumps on the bird, grabs the bow and arrow, falls off of it, takes a fight scene. He's like, come on, come at me with the knife. And I'm like, ah! And he's throwing me over, and I'm like hitting him. He's like, okay, it's too much. You know? And so Jim is a performer. He really is. And as much as he might not be an actor, I'm telling you he is. Okay. He knows how to do these things. He just chooses not to.
Okay.
You know, and I'm telling you, he's amazing when you know, like his inflection is great. His comedic timing is really there. Yeah. Although he's not a comedian, you know, but he's funny to us. You and I,
Sarcastic.
So,
Sarcasm is really quite spectacular.
He's good with that.
Yeah.
I mean, so, you know, I remember when we were on Avatar too, like Avatar 1, you know, we were doing something and I was like, oh, you know, this movie kind of feels like, you know, a couple of the movies I've seen before. And he's going, yeah, that's all of Hollywood. So fuck off, kid. You know, then we get the second movie. I'm like, oh.
You said to Jim, this feels like other movies.
I mean, the story's kind of like the same, right? And he's like, you know, the wheel's been invented, you asshole. He's like, fuck off, kid. Right? Oh, okay, I'll shut up. You know, then the second movie, we're like sinking a ship, you know, and I'm like, oh, kind of like Titanic. He goes, I really only have 3 good ideas. Yeah. I'm just going to keep on regurgitating them, you know?
Yeah.
And so, you know, in the end, you realize, no, he's right. You know, like every story has been told. It's, you know, what he does is he has a specific story that really has been told because it's a great story. But even though it's been told a bunch of times, you know, he builds a world. And the star of the movie really is the worlds that he builds, and no one can do that. He can create a whole new world, a whole new universe, a whole new psyche. And, you know, whether it be Terminator or Pandora or Titanic. Titanic, he created a whole, like, character just out of that ship. Yeah. You know, and to me, that's where his superpower lies.
Yeah. Well, what, you know, I appreciate you coming in because I know that you've spent an entire day in the cutting room because you are now cutting your movie. And did you write this movie? Because I know that you're a writer too, and I know that you've written scripts and you know, that's a skill. I've always been good at punching up dialogue and playing around with dialogue, and certain directors who have confidence will let me do that. But is this one that you're doing now? Did you write it, or how did you acquire it? How did you read it? Because from what I understand, when you first showed it to Jim was like, I'm not. You know, go ahead.
So I had a script that I wrote. And I was pitching it around, and you know, I was at my agents who were in CAA, and I was like, I want to get this movie made. And they were looking around, and they had gone to this one company, a smaller company, saying, "Hey, this guy has a script." And they go, "No, we don't want the script, but we have a script." And this script was written by Derek Kolstad. Derek Kolstad wrote the John Wick movies as well as Nobody. He's an amazing writer, right? So he created John Wick.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Okay. And so they said, we have this movie called Painter. And it's a father-daughter story. Would you be interested in reading it? Because we think that you might be a very good idea for the director of it.
Which company is this?
This is a company called Infrared.
Okay.
Right? They're a subsidiary of Film Nation.
Okay.
And so, you know, Glenn Basner at Film Nation, he oversees this smaller company. The smaller company is run by Drew Simon and Sam Spicer.
Okay.
Very good producers. But they had come to me with this, and they said, would you be interested? So I read the script, and I love it. Right. And it's a father-daughter story. And I've got 3 daughters. And, you know, this father has raised his daughter the same way I've taught my daughters. All my daughters know how to shoot guns. I've taken them to Terran Tactical over in Simi Valley, and they shoot where John Wick does, and they shoot like 3-gun competition shooting. It's amazing. And I've taught them to knife fight. I've taught them Muay Thai. You know, I've taught them to be able to not just protect themselves, but survive if there is a bad situation. And, you know, look,
how old are your girls?
So my oldest is 26, then I have 22 and 21.
Okay, go ahead.
So basically, I resonated with this. It was a movie that I completely knew. You know, also, I mean, there was a lot of things that, you know, reminded me of not just me or my relationship with my daughter, but also things that happened to me. You know, like getting shot and so forth.
Yeah.
So I pitched for it. I won it. You know, they liked my pitch. You know, I was all about the emotional journey that this relationship was. It was all about the father-daughter relationship where a lot of people were talking about the action. I really didn't speak much about the action. Got the movie, tried to get Jim to, you know, want to be involved. He says, I won't be involved, but I'll help you. Read the script. You know, he goes, yeah, this isn't for me, you know, because it really did read just like, you know, white trash kind of girl in a white trash town in the mountains. And then, you know, while I was going through the process, I was helping to, you know, change certain scenes. I was like, this I like, this I don't like. So
with the writer.
Yes, with the writer. Okay. I would never do it without, you know, always, you know, tell them, hey, what about this and fix this and move this here. And so we would do those kinds of things. And what you have to understand in the movie business is, guys, you can't just come in here and tell everyone, no, I'm going to do it this way. You can't. You can't step on people's toes like that. You have to be respectful. As much as I might be a writer, I can't walk into those shoes and say, listen, I'm going to rewrite your movie. Yeah. Because here's a guy that's established. So I walked in and I said, listen, I've got ideas. You know, so that's it. And so now
collaboration.
That's
right?
it.
Yeah.
And so I helped write certain things, and then he helped fix certain things. And at the end of the day, the movie that we now have, of course, is still written by him. You know, there's certain moments in there that I helped shape.
Nudge. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I do, you know, look, at one point I turned to Jim while we were making Avatar 3, and I said, I want to be a writer. And he goes, really? All right, well, I'll help you. You know, I go, great. So I started writing the script. It's called 89 Seconds to Midnight. And I bring it to him and he reads it. And he's like, you know, he's like, listen, I'll help you. You know, this is definitely not something I want to do. Because it's a whole lot of killing, a whole lot of shooting. And it's just, I don't know, it's kind of like John Wick, you know? And
well, let me ask you a question. Has Jim, because as far as I know, Jim has never, you know, put his name, maybe with Catherine Bigelow, you know, when he was working with Catherine. But has he ever done what he's done with you, with anybody else? I mean, he's had thousands of people come to him and say, well, what about this? What about this? And what about this? And, you know, and do you know of any other? No. Okay. Okay.
No, so not at all. I can tell you that, you know, look, I'm incredibly loyal to him. He is my mentor. He's a guy that is also, I consider him friend and somewhat family. You know, I love the guy. I really do. Yeah. I mean, look, I've been with him for over the course of 23 years now. Wow. I've worked for him for 16 years. Yeah. 16 years out of those 23 years, I worked side by side with him, getting up in the morning, like, you know, at 5 a.m., hanging out, you know, going to dinner, whatever it is. I think that he, of course, paid attention to the fact that I wasn't here to just get him to forward my career. I was there to help him make movies, but I also loved what he was doing and how he was doing it. And I wanted to know how he was doing it. I wanted to learn, you know? And then when I started saying, hey, I want to be a writer, he started saying, oh, here's a guy that's now trying to go into that next realm. And then when I told him, hey, I want to be a director, his literal words to me was, are you sure? He's like, man, be careful what you wish for. He goes, I don't think you understand. And I'm like, no, I really do. I want to, you know, because look, when we finish a movie, there's a big gap there. And I'll be honest with you, even when he's making a movie, sometimes I'll talk about, oh, I don't believe this, or I do believe this. And, you know, look, he's always going to make his movies the way he does. But sometimes it's nice to be able to tell him what resonated and what didn't resonate. So I think along the way, he realized that I was watching him and learning from him. Yeah. And I was growing as a filmmaker. And so when I did this movie at first, it was like, no, kid, you're going to have to, like, you know, swim on your own, you know, but I'll kind of help you. I'll guide you on the way. And then when I finally got Amber Midthunder, he looked at me.
When you finally got what?
Amber Midthunder.
Okay.
You know, he looked at me and said, it's a different movie now.
Okay,
You know,
now
he has an
tell me who
indigenous.
Amber.
Amber Midthunder is indigenous, right? She's American, Indian, but
Is
indigenous.
she like a movie star?
She's a movie star. She did Prey.
Okay.
She did another movie called.
So
Novocaine.
she's kind of the lead.
Yes,
and
she is the lead.
And Walter Goggins is also in it, correct?
That's right. So she's the lead, and he
All right,
is.
let's go back. I want to go back before and find out. All right, so you're at that space now where you've rewritten the script.
Yeah.
And then you take it and. How do you move forward? Now you've got a slightly different script, one that you think is a little bit more sellable. Go.
So we try to sell it at festivals, of course. We also try to pitch to other companies.
So you go to film festivals and you're pitching your.
This movie company, Infrared, doesn't want to put their own money up. They'll put up $5 million, they say, of their own money. Right, and then they want the rest of it because this is a good action movie that needs at least $18 million to be made.
Wow!
Right, so they're comfortable putting $5 million up, but the rest of it has to be taken over by someone else. So they're trying to sell foreign distribution, whatever it is. They want to get Neon, they want Fox, they want Netflix, anyone to come in and front the rest of the money. No one did. Neon was talking about maybe giving some money as well, but it wasn't enough, and so then. The company said, you know what, we're going to fund it ourselves. And it's the first time they were ever going to do that.
Really?
They believed in me so strongly is what they said. They said, listen, we think that, you're the one that we can trust putting all of our savings into. So we're going to do this with you. And it was $13 million. They're going to
How much?
$13 million is what they got up.
Okay.
And so got the script, got the $13 million, talked to Jim, and I go, okay, I've got $13 million, I got a script. And he's like, it's going to be hard. There's a lot of locations, I mean, you can do it, shoot lean and pull all your favorites. I'm like, you got it. I'm going to do it. And I never asked him to do it. I never said, hey, I need you to do this. I always said, give me some help, give me some pointers. And then I would come to him with scenes and I would say, hey, if I did this, do you think I could do something fast? And what did you do here to make that quick on the first term? I asked him always, for advice. I never said, do this for me.
Right. Yes.
And so I think he respected that. He also knew that I wasn't asking him to hold my hand or do this for me.
Pay for it.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And then at one point I tell him, all right, you know what? I found this actress I really think is interesting and she's different. And I think she's going to make this movie
How
even
did you
bigger.
find her?
So Infrared just shot a movie with her.
Okay.
Novocaine.
Oh, okay.
And they said, what do you think about Amber Midthunder? I go, she's great. I go, she's really interesting. A completely different, she's a left turn. I would never think, I always thought like the girl from Ozark. You know what I mean? I always thought, this blonde girl that's living up in the mountains and she's going to have that southern twang to her voice, And Amber Midthunder is a completely different idea. And I was like, you know what? That makes this movie even more special. I go, do you think that she would do it for what we're offering? Because we were offering not much. Yeah. And they're like, she would love to. And so we got her. And so I went to Jim and I go, hey, Jim, all right, so good news is I think I've got someone really good. And
so you got $13 million and
her.
Amber.
Yes.
Okay.
And we're going to shoot it ourselves. We're going to do this ourselves.
Yeah.
That's it. We're making this movie and we're making it just Infrared, me and her.
Okay.
Right. And so then we get right down to it and I'm about to leave and go to, Serbia, Belgrade, Serbia to do this. Right. And Jim goes, this is going to be really hard. And I go, yeah, but I can do this. He's like, I know you can. If anybody can do it, you can do it. I'm like, uh-huh.
Wow,
he goes,
great.
Let me see if I can help you. And I go, yeah? He goes, yeah. You know what? Let me see if I can help find maybe a studio. Maybe I'll go to Paramount or maybe I'll go to Sony or maybe I'll go to Fox, Steve Aswell or something. I'm like, okay. And he goes, then I tell him about Amber Midthunder and he goes, you know what? This is a different movie now. I'm going to put my name on it. I don't want to take money from it. We'll make this work in a different way. He goes, because you need every penny you can get to be put on the screen. And, he's like, since you are my protege and I consider, myself your mentor, I'm going to help get this along the way. And so he did. Let me tell you guys, in every way, shape, or form, I know how to make movies. I've been doing this for a long time, but to navigate those waters is a different story.
Being a director for the first time.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll say it is.
So he would send me he sent me an email, right? Let's see. Before I was filming.
Okay.
The very first day of filming, I sent him a thing. I go, just an update. Tomorrow's first day of filming. I'll keep you updated. He says, break a leg. Let me know how it goes. He goes, remember, it'll take you a couple of days to hit your stride with the crew. He was absolutely right. It took me a couple of days to hit my stride with this crew. Like the first 2 days really was clunky. And what I thought were great performances were just definitely not there yet, but I thought they were great.
Let me ask you a question. Did you have any rehearsal time with your actors?
So yes and no. So when I got Amber on this, it was a year before the movie was even greenlit.
Okay.
She and I went to, training for this. And then
training as far as physical activity?
Yes, teaching her how to fight, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Right? And then I would take the script, and I had a whole bunch of actors. A lot of actors that were from Avatar, actually.
Yeah.
Like all the troupe that does all the acting on it, And I would have them show up at my house. And I would shoot the scenes at my house, in my garage, in my house, out in the backyard, over at a stunt facility called Tempest Free Running. And I'd put up cardboard boxes to be like rooms, and I would shoot the whole movie, and I would have everyone rehearse. So did I have rehearsal with the actors? No, but I had rehearsal with actors.
Okay.
And I shot this whole movie before I shot the movie, basically.
Okay.
Then, we get greenlit, and then I've got time with Amber.
You still got $13 million.
Now we've got Fox, and Fox comes in and ups the money.
Okay.
So now we have a proper budget. It's still modest, but it's not 30 million, but it's 20 million. So it's modest, but it's good.
Yes.
And we've got 45 days of shooting. Yeah.
And you got how many days?
45 days of shooting.
Okay. Yep.
And, I've got 2 cameras instead of 1 now. And, I'm able to reach out to better actors now. And I'm able to, get the Walton Goggins. And I'm able to, get Ving Rhames and all those other guys.
Wow.
And so, the good news is, too, a lot of people respected who I was in the film industry, because most actors don't want to work with just anybody. They like the fact that, here is, I would go in for meetings sometimes, and Jim would jump on Zoom calls to talk to the actors with me. And he goes, I just want you to know that I'm also a part of this. And, this guy's amazing. I really can't tell you better. So he was really amazing. And I can't tell you how much, thank you, Jim. Seriously, thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I don't get choked up about many people, but you fucking rock, man.
Yeah.
And so, he really stuck his neck out for me and helped me along the way. And he was definitely more than just a mentor. He's family. And I would drop everything to do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
We got the money, got Amber. Then when we got out there, she was just finishing a TV series. So she came to me 3 days before we had to shoot.
Right.
So did I have rehearsal with the actors? No.
Right.
But here's the good thing about the actors. Most of the actors, like the Walton Goggins and the Ambers, trust me, Amber's a fucking pro. She's amazing, man. She comes in and she even knows, she's like, look, take 1 might not be my best take, but just keep the camera rolling and we'll get there. And I'm like, okay, good. I've watched Jim. And also directing second units. Sometimes I've had to direct Hugh Jackman or, other people on second units. And I know how to work with them.
You like Hugh Jackman, don't you?
Love him. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
I tell you, there's a number of people out there that are just so good to work with, and they teach you so much.
And he's one of them, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I learned.
Logan?
Was
that on Logan?
Logan, yep. Also Real Steel and other things like that too. But I can tell you that when I got to the space, I would take the actors and I'd clear the set, because I learned that from Jim. And this is the funny thing: when we did the first Avatar, he'd clear the set, and sometimes they'd be in there for 3-4 hours. I can't believe that. I mean, I don't know. You guys that make movies, you know that you don't clear a set for 3 or 4 hours.
No.
That's a lot of money.
No.
Right.
No, yeah.
We were on the first Avatar. He was clearing the set and he was just trying to work things out. Second, third Avatar wasn't so bad. But the first one, he was just taking time with them and working ideas out. So I went into this space and I knew I'm going to clear this set. I'm just going to get these 2 guys together. I'm going to find out what's in their brain, and Amber doesn't like to act while she rehearses, and neither does Walton. He just wants to go through and say, okay, I got it. I know I'll be here, and this is where I'd probably go, and let's cut that part out. And they would do this. And you go, okay, you guys feel comfortable? They go, great. And so then we'd bring in the crew. They'd tell them what's going on. They'd walk them through, and that's it. So did I have rehearsal? No. Did I need rehearsal? Not really.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, it'd be like me getting you to come into a space. We would have conversations before they got there. They'd call me on the phone, Walton, you know that. You'd go ahead. Who is this character? What do you see?
Yeah.
What is the tone?
Did any of the actors ever talk to you specifically about the words? And geez, this.
Yes and no.
Okay.
It was.
What does that mean?
So a lot of them would like words. and a lot of them wouldn't like words. You know, sometimes like less is more here. Let's get rid of them.
Yeah, right.
Some of them would say, hey, I love the way this is written. Let's keep this. Hey, I don't like the way this is written. Can we change this?
Yes. Okay.
And so at a studio level, you do have to get approval for those kinds of things. We can't just do it on the day.
Okay.
And we would go through that process. And I'm like, I agree with you. And this is great. And this is not good.
So you're kind of running stuff where an actor approaches you and says, hey, I'd like to kind of try this or that. You would need to then contact the studio at that point while you're on location and like go like, hey, this actor wants to, you know, maybe drop these 3 lines from the scene, make it more compact. For me, a lot of times I've always like less is more. Like I just want to say what needs to be said, and the other stuff I don't care about because it's not furthering the scene and it's not helping my character, you know. So sometimes stuff is overwritten, and so I want to do less. But a lot of times, and I said to Jim, a lot of directors don't understand that. But Jim said, well, but you know, you were working with, and that happens when you work with writer-directors. And I just did a movie with Adam Wingard. He's a writer-director. He wrote the script, so he's very, and that's what Jim said. And I've worked with Jim and kind of rearranged stuff with Jim. And also Robert Rodriguez, you know, so it's a different story when you're a writer, director, which you kind of are, you know.
So I was able to change things on the moment, which is completely fine.
Okay.
But if we were going to, so we would have conversations about the script before any actor would come in and say, okay, I was reading the scene, you know, I didn't love this, and I love these things. And this is on phone conversations or Zooms. And we would always do these kinds of things.
Yeah, okay.
And I go, great. Now I would take notes.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
And then I would rewrite the scene.
Right.
And then I would send it off to Derek, and I would say, this is what he's thinking. And Derek would go, okay. And then he would punch
Derek
up
Derek
Kolstad,
company?
the writer.
The writer, okay.
Yeah.
So then this should happen a week before they got there, you know, and then you pass it off to the studio. Now, when you get there on the day, the actor's already told me what he wants to say. Derek's already had his say in how it's written.
Yes.
I've already said, yes, I've blessed it.
Yes.
You know, the studio says, yeah, we agree.
Okay.
So I was always prepared in that sense.
Okay.
However, when we did get there, sometimes some things didn't work. However, you always didn't find that until you first started the scene. So you would probably have come in with your less is more, right? And we would have already written it and everyone said yes to it. However, you would have said, you know what, I need to say this now. Or I need to respond to him in this way.
Okay.
I'm missing something here. And you would say it. And I'm like, yeah, go for it.
Okay.
You know, and so everyone's fine as long as we did diligence beforehand.
Yeah.
Once we got there, they also, I think, felt strong with the fact that, you know, here's a guy that knows, you know, not just what the character needs, but also what the scene needs and what the story arc needs on a greater sense. You know, I was doing very good as far as like the first couple of weeks of filming. I was making my days. I was cutting the movie as I went. And I was sending them scenes and showing them, and they were going, holy smokes, this is working, this is good. And so I felt like they knew that they had some faith in me. They could trust me. I don't think a lot of directors do what I do. And I also, you know, look, I've been around some great people in my lifetime. I've been around Jim and watched him change things on the fly. I've been around Mangold, you know, Jim Mangold, and he changes. I've been around great people, and I've watched the smart that they do, just like you. And I watch an actor. If an actor comes in and he believes something, you got to go for it.
Right.
You know, just to have someone make you believe something is the key.
Yeah.
You know, it's those are the. In fact, Jim did send me another email while I was filming. Right. I was telling him how I was a little bit behind on one scene, and I've got a big one tomorrow. It's very deep. And he goes, just keep hammering away at it, one foot in front of the other. Don't get discouraged. He goes, and remember something. Look for the little interesting lightning strikes in the performances. Fan those embers, right? And to me, sometimes the subtext or the small words that are said or the lack of words that are said, those are those moments that he talks about. And I think the studio saw that I found those. And, you know, for me, if an actor can make me believe a scene without saying a thing, then I'm not going to step on his toes. I'm going to let him make me believe it. Yeah. You know, and then afterwards, it's like, okay, that's not bad. You know, one thing I'm missing is this. I don't feel that. And, you know, what do you think about that? And then he goes, I got an idea. Then he can go back out. And you're never telling someone how to act. You're telling them something that you're trying to get out of the performance or get out of the scene that you might be missing as a director. you know, and then the actor, of course, is going to go back and he's going to do something. And sometimes actors will ask you, well, what should I say then? You know, I'm not sure how should I say that then? Because I thought I nailed it, you know? And at that point you say, no, you nailed it. But the one thing that wasn't evident, and those are the things that I learned on this set, is that sometimes, first of all, you don't want to teach an actor, you don't want to tell an actor to act. That's not the way to do things, as you know that, right? However, what you do want to do, you don't want to give them line readings. However, what you do want to do is just go, you nailed everything. I thought that was fantastic. One thing that you said that really sparked an idea for me was you said this. That was deep, and I never saw that in this scene before. Let's keep going with that, though. Let's expand on that, you know what I mean? And let's like punch that even a little bit more. And the actor's like, good, okay, you know? And so those are the things, as a director, you're basically the captain of a ship. And once you see a break through, you know, waters, you're like, go for that break. Or once you see a really good moment over there, you like, go for that moment. So that's what I learned. And it was Jim that told me to do that. And, you know, that's why the studio, I think, was comfortable with me making changes on the fly.
Well, that's similar to how you work with the writer too, isn't it?
Correct.
I mean,
Yes.
to highlight the strengths, the things that are working and sparkling.
Yes.
And that's what encourages people to offer more, you know, to come up with more.
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's these are the things that I relate to. These are the things I don't relate to, but are cool. These are the things that just, honestly, guys, I don't know why it's even in here, you know? And those are the things that you say. And then, of course, there'll be a bit of a debate. And then, you know, you basically have to learn to listen to people. And I learned this. I worked with someone one time that taught me, you can't say no to something. You have to wait 10 seconds before you say no. And I also learned, you know, once you write a scene, don't think that scene is written. You have to wait until you sleep on it. Because that scene won't be the same scene tomorrow when you wake up.
Okay.
Nope.
So that's why most of the scenes, when we were trying to rewrite those things, I always wanted to make sure we didn't do it on the spot. I always wanted to try and do it like a week before.
Sure.
Because the next day when you wake up.
That is a rehearsal in a sense.
100%.
Yes.
And so once you wake up the next day, it's amazing how you see things in a different light as a director or a writer. You know, and you're like, oh, this doesn't work. You know?
Well, what you're talking about is the thrill that I get from a word collaboration. Okay? To me, that is the thrill of movie making, is working with other people and taking material and like getting everything that we can from it. Because I don't have all the answers, but maybe we do, or the three of us do. Maybe
the synthesis of us all
of us, the studio, the director, the actors, go ahead, Jim.
No, I'm saying I'm agreeing with you on this, but especially, you know, the core kind of creative core that you're talking about, that the end result is a synthesis of everybody's input and not just one person's dictate. And that's when it works and when it's really rewarding and fun.
I think from a standpoint of your actors, and we can talk about this from a crew standpoint also, and your DP and so on and so forth, but like, it really makes us feel good when we feel like we're contributing more than just, oh, I came in, I've got these words to say, okay, I'm going to say these words. It makes us feel really good when we feel like we're elevating that material with ideas that, and I'll tell you, with Jim, for instance, there are a lot of times with Jim Cameron, and most directors that I work with, I come at them with ideas all the time. And usually it's like, no, I don't think so. But, you know, 1 out of every 10, 1 out of every 12 tries. Well, wait a sec. Oh, you know, that might work. Let's try that. And that collaboration, that is more than just coming in and just saying words. It's like being part of a process. It's like playing. You're a martial artist. It's more of a one-man deal, but it's being part of a team, and everybody kind of has a position that they play, and everybody kind of has to, you know, work together. And that's what I love so much about that the film industry, it's like being on a team, and it's not, you don't want to let down your teammates. You don't want to be late. I wasn't surprised at all when I got here 10 minutes early and you were sitting here. I just wasn't surprised because, if you're working with Jim, it just didn't surprise. He made me stop and run an errand for him. So you were here when he called? Were you here? Yeah. Okay, so you were here. You were here, 20 minutes early. But that to me, that collaboration is okay. So how when you said the first 2 or 3 days was kind of tough with the crew or a little bit awkward, and then things smoothed out, what was awkward, or was it they didn't know quite what you wanted, you couldn't quite communicate? I mean, usually, you put a camera here, you put this lens on it, I want a camera over here, and I want it moving like this, and that's what I want, and the crew fucking does it. But tell me how that relationship evolved with your crew.
So I thought the first 3 days went by perfectly. Okay. I was like writing him going, nah, man, you're wrong. I grabbed that bull by the horns and it was awesome. I was wrong. In hindsight, around the third week. Yeah. Around the third week, we were, now I have to admit, in Belgrade, Serbia, it's not like they don't do the same kind of filming that we do. They make good movies, but I do very specialized shots. A lot of the things that I do are outside the box when it comes to operating cameras. Sometimes I operate camera myself, like Jim does. But at the same token, there is a vocabulary. There's a sense that when you get with a director as a crew member, you start to know what he likes and what he doesn't like. Mm-hmm. And even if you are in prep, you think you know, but you don't know until you get there and you do a shot and you're like, yeah, that's it. Just like that. That was good. You start telling them those little moments that, you can see, and these guys start to feed off of those moments, and then they start to find them themselves. And you no longer have to say that. Oh. In the first couple of days, you have to say it all the time. You have to just like, no, move the camera like this and get over here.
They get used to you.
Right.
Okay.
And now, so, I might be doing 40 setups first, week or so. Wow. And then I'm doing 50 setups the second week. Then I'm doing 60 setups because these guys are now starting to know me better.
Right.
And he's right. And as much as it's not like, you're right, I come in, I put a camera here, camera here, camera here. But even though I might put a camera here in those spots, they also know that the light is looking better there and they need to move it a little bit like this, or this person is now. Actors, I hate trying to say this actor is going to be on this spot. I really do. As much as unless it's a tight shot and it's your hero shot, I really need you guys to have some sort of freedom to be able to do what you want to do in the moment when you feel it.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you pre-block?
Yes.
So your actors come in and they are already blocked? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
And they're aware of that.
100%. But that doesn't always equate to what they do on the moment.
Okay.
And sometimes they'll change things on the
moment.
And
so that is kind of a ever-evolving sort of like, maybe they'll move a little bit differently.
That's right.
Maybe your camera will move a little bit differently, and maybe you'll get something you didn't expect and nobody expected, right?
That's right.
Part of the collaboration, yeah.
And, the first couple of days, the camera team was like, well, I didn't know if I had the ability to move if I had to. I'm like, yes. If she turns, creep around to find her. Right. So that's why he means you'll have to find each other's footings, and they just want to know what they are allowed to do. And then after that, it's like the second week, my camera guys is going, I'll just tighten the shot up a little bit more. I'm like, no, because I want more frames because then I can reframe it if I have to, or I might do a little visual effects here where I comp a hand in, and that means I need more of the space.
Okay.
And so these guys were coming to me going, I think I should tighten up here. And these guys were starting to tell me things that they felt was a better shot, which I love.
Yes.
And I would say, I love that you're telling me, but no, because I might be doing a visual effects shot and I need a little bit more space, and they don't see that yet, but I do.
Yeah.
So he's right. And eventually these guys would then come to me and they would say, should I go tighter or you need to be wider for a VFX shot? And I'm like, no, go tighter. I agree with you. You're right. So, Sweet. And then there's a lot of times where I was like, all right, cut, let's go to a tighter lens. And they knew what I was going to call next. Before I even said it, I was like, go to the 85. They already had the 85 standing by, ready to go on. Right. And so that's what he means. And he's right. And wardrobe knows, and hair and makeup. Like the first couple of days, hair and makeup was going in between every shot. I was ready to punch myself in the head. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just going to take, Then at one point I was like, I'd cut and they'd start running. Don't you dare run in. Stay back there. I'm like, get set up again. Let's do it again, right? And they're like, but we need to touch. I'd leave them alone, And then eventually they learned, you can't do that just yet, especially on the resets.
Yes.
And sometimes like, but her hair's out of place. I'm like, I don't care. Let her stay in the moment. Don't mess it up.
Yes.
Yes. And
Yes.
so then if it's egregious and it's across her face, I'm like, fix that,
Yeah.
But, they would sometimes futz with people so much that it just takes them right out of the scene. If you've got 3 people touching you in between a very emotional moment, you're like, I've lost it.
Well, listen, just so you know, I think a lot of actors, we don't want people. I mean, I think with women, it's different. I think women have a different, but like if you're a dude, there are many times the last film I did, I don't think I even had any makeup. They kind of did my hair so it didn't look strange, but there's like no makeup. And, I don't like people coming in and fussing and like in between takes. I'd rather wardrobe, hair, and makeup to only come in if they really, really need to come in. Not because I think sometimes they just think it's part of their job. They need, right? Right. And
yeah, well, listen, I know that they're trying to make someone portrait ready for every shot. And sometimes I'm like, you can't break the momentum. You have to know when it's time to come in and when it's time to let this person stay in that headspace and stay in the motion. You know what I mean? And it's like, those are the things that can take the wind right out of your sail.
yes.
And so I agree with you. And they didn't, so after the first couple of days, they know that now.
Right.
And that's why Jim is right. I mean, we're all going to learn this right now. Jim is right.
Well, I've known that for a long time. Yeah.
Just ask him. Yeah.
So you had how many days? You said
45.
45 days, and you shot 45 days.
I finished on time and on budget and didn't touch my contingency.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what is a contingency? What is that? Is that mean?
So when you make a movie, you have a certain amount of money that you've put aside just in case, right? Just in case something goes wrong, the car breaks down, you lose an actor, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, whether there's some things that insurance will cover, but nowadays insurance doesn't always cover certain things.
Okay.
And so, like weather is one that they will cover. Unless you have an insurance policy that doesn't cover weather. It depends on what movie you're doing and what you have.
Yeah.
So there's certain things that you have to understand. Like, say we spent like a large amount of money. I'm not going to say the amount of money on a deer, because Disney will not let you use a real animal, like hunting an animal, of course. And you can't even use a fake, like a dead animal that was already killed. You're not allowed to do that. So we had to have a special one made. And that was very costly. But when it got
you can't have a real dead deer on your set?
Not at all.
Because that is Disney's
policy.
Well, no animal? You can't have any dead animal on your set?
You can't even have a taxidermy head on a wall.
Oh.
It has to be fake.
Really?
Really. I mean, there's a couple of rules. In Disney, it's like there can be no animal cruelty in any way, shape, or form. You can have a deer on set if it's grazing. But that deer, you can't even go over and like move the deer. Like, don't touch it because there's an animal wrangler there too. You can't be messing with an animal. You have to be very respectful. Okay. So in my movie, our girl is a hunter and she hunts a deer.
Okay. Okay.
So I had to buy a deer that was very expensive, and it got there, and this deer wasn't good.
I hate it when that happens.
Was it like Bruce the shark from Jaws or something? The deer isn't working.
Yes. And so,
what was wrong with the deer? She wouldn't listen to you? She wouldn't come out of her trailer?
Rigor mortis had set in. And when we were trying to drag the deer, it looked like a lawn ornament for Christmas. And, you're this director and you're like, cut.
Where's my deer person?
Are you all not, do you not, and the deer person's right there going, what? What do you mean what? I can't use that. Anyways, contingency fees. because then you're trying to take some of the money out of the contingency fees to fix that. But fortunately for us, my VFX guy, who I love to death, his name is Grant. I had done Roadhouse with him, and he was now coming on to do this with me. And so, out of the goodness of his heart.
Can I stop you for a second? Because I'll forget, and I don't mean to interrupt, but Conor McGregor.
Yeah, Conor McGregor, yeah.
Okay. I don't know why, but every time my phone throws something at me that he's involved in, he's acting like he's out of his fucking mind, angry, and fucking, I don't know how much is performance art and how much is part of hyping a fight, and I don't know how much is real, but a lot of it seems fucking real. And when I saw Roadhouse, and we all have, and you were not involved in the sequel, correct? Because you were shooting your movie.
Yes.
Okay, so, but I've heard you say that you loved working with the dude. And by the way, he was, I don't want to say the best thing, but he was fucking good. He was good in that fucking movie. Is he in the next one? He must be. He's got to be. Or did he get killed?
I'm not allowed to say.
Oh, you're not allowed to say. Okay. But he was good, man. Okay.
Listen.
Tell me about working with him.
I loved him.
Okay.
I love the guy. I think the guy is amazing. I mean, honestly, the guy came in and he paid for his own acting coach. And he was all about performing, acting. He knew his lines. He came in prepared. He was very respectful of everyone and everything. And he just wanted to do the best job possible.
Okay.
He is very
volatile?
Passionate,
okay.
Not volatile. I never saw him get mad whatsoever. You know, he's definitely, like, when you stand next to that man and he throws a punch, woo, you feel it, you know? But I can tell you that, so Jake, Jake's a little bit like, hey, don't hit me. And he's like, don't worry, I won't hit you, mate. But, you have this hand that crushes people's skulls and it feels like it, you know? So no matter how much, it's like holding a gun in your hand. There's respect for that. So, but here's a guy that was incredibly gentle. However, sometimes his gentle is like, a vice grip on your hand. Okay. So you feel the power of this man, even though he's not trying to hurt you, but you feel it as you stand next to him. He's great.
Right.
And he's the sweetest man. He's the nicest man. He is, and he knows this for a fact. He knows that the world doesn't want to just be lulled to sleep. The world wants to feel the passion and the excitement behind someone and the motivation. And he'll say that to you, and he'll say, listen, I want to do great things. I want to do it. And I want to keep on doing it, And so for him, when he goes out and he's out of his mind, as you say, I don't think he's out of his mind. He's trying to, when everyone's around and everyone's watching and cameras are rolling, he's trying to give everyone their money's worth.
Okay.
Is it performance? I don't know, because to be honest with you, sometimes when I was with him, he was very, very outwardly funny and very, very like Jim, sarcastically funny. And, check this out. Let me get that. Can I ride your bike over there? And I'm like, you're going to kill yourself. So here's a guy that is a big kid. And he enjoys himself so much because, I mean, he was poor for a long time, and now he's got, the world is his oyster. And so he's like, I'm not letting this go. He's enjoying every moment of it. And that's what I saw. And so sometimes, let me tell you something right now, I can be passionate. And by being passionate, sometimes I can say things and they can be misconstrued the wrong way.
As anger? Is that what you mean?
No, not anger. Just in being, what the fuck is that? You can say that, right? And someone can take that as, oh, he was being disrespectful.
Yes.
But you can say, oh, don't do that. That's horrible. Yeah. And people can say, why would you say that to me?
Right.
No, I'm not telling you you're horrible. I'm saying whatever that was horrible. Don't do that again. And it's just being emphatic. You just want to make sure someone knows that you don't like this at all.
Yes.
And that's what Conor is. Conor is emphatic. And he's letting everyone know that you are the greatest in the world. All right, you're not the greatest in the world yet, but you will be, And he's saying that in a very emphatic way. You are amazing, world's best. Oh, no, your balls suck right now. Don't do that, And it's like, you don't get in between with him. He's very, very outwardly emphatic, and it's really good. And I like that about him, because as much as he might say something where you're like, wait, I suck? He's like, well, no, you don't suck. That sucked. I love you. You're amazing. We're going to make you the best in the world. Watch, come over here. Now you're looking good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's what it is for him. And so I don't think that, I think that first of all, he doesn't have a filter. I think that he also knows that, his ticket to the world is his, show that he can put on as well. He's the Muhammad Ali of the UFC world.
Yeah. Jack Johnson also.
100%.
Yeah.
And so I think that, that is the cocktail to what you see out there. Right. And if you ever do spend time with him, you will fall in love with him.
Yeah.
He's one of the greatest people I've ever worked with and been around, and I love the guy to death.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's nice to hear. And I guess because it is out there. Does he get killed? I mean, he plays the antagonist. Does he get killed in the first one?
No. At the end of the movie, you see he leaves
He's going to be in the second one then, because there's no way they're going to be doing that fucking movie without him, because he was so fucking awesome in the movie, man.
I tell you, at the end of the first Roadhouse, you see him leaving the hospital in a gown, and his butt is out.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty funny.
Okay.
And he's just walking like his walk that he's walking, with just his ass hanging out. I mean, I'm not saying anything, but the guy just had this like charisma to him, just walking in a hospital gown. You're like,
he did.
That
was a funny moment.
The first shot of the next movie would be now the other side of that, him walking.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the other movie.
You don't.
All I know is that we didn't kill him in the first movie.
It was a good movie. Who directed that?
Doug Liman.
Doug Liman. Yeah. That was a good movie. Okay, let's get back to and we're
About 25 minutes.
Let me ask you. All right, so you are in post now. So you are. It seems to me that these, back in the old days, like with film and everything, it would take less time. It would seem to me that you would almost have your movie in a rough cut stage by the time you got back to America. Am I wrong, or is that...
So not many filmmakers do, but I did.
Okay. And do you have your editor with you, or are you talking to your editor at back? I mean, because now you can edit a movie with an editor who's in Los Angeles and you're in Belgrade, wherever you are, and right?
I have the most amazing editor. His name is Chris Wagner. Okay. He was Tony Scott's guy for a long time.
Wow.
Did Man on Fire, did True Romance.
Really?
I mean, he's spectacular.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I can't get any better than that, right?
No, not really. I mean, those are two great. Tony Scott, wow. Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And so, I mean, he was on fire the whole time I was over there. Our time schedules were off, but when he got up, he would take all the dailies. He would start assembling things. And I had someone on set with me, who is my right hand. His name is Derek Pueblo. And what would happen is while we were filming, I would have him. So like I said, I shot the movie before I shot the movie. I would have him replace a shot with a shot. So I shot previs. I would take my movie camera, while I was at home. I shoot with a Canon, I shoot with a Canon little DSLR camera, right? And I shoot the whole movie basically, including dialogue.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Everything. Death moments, good moments, comedy moments. I shoot everything, action. I choreograph all the action. So I shoot the whole movie.
Okay.
And so while we're over there, he would be taking a shot that I just did and putting it in.
Right.
And so it's just basically you're replacing pieces of a puzzle.
Yeah.
As we went along. So I had an ongoing edit every day. And I'd look and go, oh, that worked. I'd look and go, oh, that doesn't work. Ooh, we got to fix that. Don't move on, guys. Hold on. Come back. We got to fix this.
Right.
And that's what I would do.
Wow.
I hate to be this guy, but can I use your bathroom real quick, guys?
Yeah. Go.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Being 56,
It's a little tight in there. So.
Yeah, it's like a sideways bathroom. It's
Careful of those.
Not designed very well in there.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's an airline.
Yeah. Bounce. Yeah. Did you?
I don't know if he was there for that.
Did you work on Grindhouse?
Well, yes. Planetary.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was
part of Grindhouse. So there's Grindhouse and Planetary, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's one movie within the larger.
But I was. You good?
Yeah. I'm just telling my girl that.
Do 10 more minutes.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
Well, we got 20 before we got to be out of here, so we can do 20.
Okay.
I'm having a blast, man.
Okay. Me too.
Me too. You guys are hilarious. You guys are awesome.
So Jim Anderson, you're there, right?
I'm here, yes.
So you worked on Grindhouse? And
Yes.
Do you remember me being on?
So I did. I didn't
I
work.
was there. I don't, but I, sometimes get into a space. But I had an incredible time on that movie. I enjoyed working on that movie so much because Robert Rodriguez is just like, well, Jim Cameron calls him brilliant. Okay, I've never heard Jim Cameron use that word. And, when he had to decide whether he was going to shoot Avatar or Alita Battle Angel, he realized that he was never going to, after Avatar made it, what it did, and he had to continue down that path. He gave Robert, asked Robert, and Robert is an amazing, let me just tell you a quick story, and just so you know, this is 20 years ago when we did Grindhouse, okay? And maybe you were there, but it was me and Jeff Fahey, and we were at the restaurant or whatever that we were fighting. He had the recipe, I had the recipe, and so Robert would do like 12 shots. We'd have a scene. We'd have like a 3-page scene, 3-page scene. And we'd shoot it, and he'd have like 15 shots, okay? And he'd go to a master, and come in with a closer master, and 3-shot, and 2-shot, come in on singles, and tight, and he's done. While we were doing that, this is 20 years ago, while we were doing the scene, while we were doing the 5th and 6th setup, he was cutting 3 and 4 together. And while we were doing the 8th and 9th, he was cutting. So by the time we finished the day, he said, hey, everybody gather around. He had already cut the scene, and he put some source music underneath it and said, this is what it's going to look like in the movie theater. And I've got a good memory for this, and I remember like seeing it in the movie theater for the first time, and that's exactly, how he cut it. And that's Robert Rodriguez, man. He was really, what were you stunt coordinator? Tell me what you did on Grindhouse and why we didn't talk about that, why we haven't brought this up, because I was around. I really was. You were around.
We were talking before we started.
I was just one of the stunt guys. I wasn't a stunt coordinator.
Okay.
I was first hired to help Rose McGowan learn how to use her gun leg.
Oh, yes.
So I taught her how to use her leg as a gun.
Okay.
By Jeff Dashnow, who is the stunt coordinator. He's an amazing stunt coordinator. Then I just did a couple of, there's a couple of scenes where I did some stunts, but you guys weren't there. It was just, being killed, a bunch of guys outside and stuff like that.
Zombies
Yeah.
eating you.
So, I mean, yeah, it's easy that I couldn't have seen, but I've worked with Robert for a long time. Did Sin City with him. I did
Sin City with him. Wow.
I did Alita Battle Angel with him.
You did.
But I was the stunt coordinator on Alita Battle Angel.
You were the stunt coordinator on Alita?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So I worked very closely with him.
Wow.
Love the man.
So do I.
I mean, we would finish. We were like a month into it, and me and my stunt team were looking around, going, "It can't be this easy. There has to be something that's going to go wrong." And nothing would ever go wrong.
When does it get
and he'd
hard?
sit there.
Yeah.
He'd sit there playing his guitar. And action, cut. It's good. Let's move on. Let's go in for close. Let's go in tighter.
Yeah, that's Robert.
And I was sitting there going,
"That's Robert." Yeah.
Never yells.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. Look, I agree with you. He is a great guy, and what you guys did on that movie was spectacular. That movie was all over the place. That was awesome. I mean, I didn't, when we got there, I was like, wait, what are we doing now? What? Oh my gosh, okay. And he always had a plan, because I remember, I think he's the one that taught me in my mind, because I had seen an interview where he had shot Desperado before he shot Desperado. So he had gone in with his own handy cam and was shooting some scenes, and he was going to cut it together. And so that's where I kind of got the idea from.
Well, he shot, is that the very first one he did?
The second, it was the first movie he did, but he did it twice.
Okay, but
he did El Mariachi first.
Okay, El Mariachi,
Mariachi
from what I
was the one
understand, he did that movie, that complete movie, what they call short ends.
That's right.
Which are, explain what short ends are.
So back in the day, and I miss those days, I'm sure you do too.
I do
We
a
shot
little
on
bit.
films.
There was more pressure on us, everybody, to make sure we're going to roll out. We better get this one right. But go ahead, short ends.
All right, so short ends was, when you finished a scene, sometimes you didn't finish the whole roll of film. And a lot of times people would stop a roll of a canister of film before they were going to roll out, and say, okay, we're going to start a whole new roll so that we're getting into a new scene and we don't have to stop this mid-take. So they would have pieces of film left over from a whole canister of film. And they would use those sometimes at houses for whatever they wanted to shoot on, for personal films and stuff like that. So a lot of film houses would keep them, in refrigerators or whatever, and they would never ever be the exact same film. So if you think about that, everyone, back in the day, you'd get Fuji, you'd get Kodak, you'd get all these different kinds of film, and they weren't the exact same. So it was never the exact same look between each piece of film. And so you had to try to plan what piece of film you were shooting on for a short end to be within the moment that you were shooting. Like some stuff is better outside than it is inside, and some stuff is like Kodak and is better for the glory versus Fuji, which is better for wider landscape scope. So it was always hard because you were trying to splice together short ends, and you were trying to get all the same pieces that would work well for that scene, and he was doing that. And so he's brilliant. And back in the day, like when we would shoot film, I would also sometimes if I was shooting second unit, sometimes I had to think about whether I was doing 2-perf or, and this means like when you shoot 2-perf, that means that you're shooting beyond what you can see on the film. So 2-perf means, 2 perforation film, which means it's bigger. So what you're looking at when you're looking at the video screen means that you're not actually seeing the whole film.
Okay.
So if I would shoot a scene and all of a sudden a piece of someone's hand would fall off the frame and it had the gun in it that I needed to make sure I saw, and I'm like, shit, it's off the frame. If it was 2-perf, it wasn't.
Okay.
Because I still had more frame to reframe when we went into the house. Kodak would send us, once they did the digital transfer, they would be able to reframe it and see the gun, so you wouldn't have to reshoot it if you knew that you were doing 2-perf or 4-perf or whatever it is,
Yeah. Okay.
And so we would always have to consider that when we would film. And for those of you guys that don't know what it's like to shoot and film, which I miss so much.
Yeah.
Let's say we were going to do a car hit, and I had 3 cameras out there, and they were rolling at 120 frames per second. You would hear on camera, and you would hear people screaming at the top of their lungs, roll on A, roll B, A, roll C, and action. And you'd hear these cameras go, and your nuts would jump up inside your chest, and you would feel like you're about ready to fight a fucking bull. And you're like, this is filmmaking. Nowadays, you're digital, and it's like, all right, everyone rolling? Yeah, we're rolling. Whenever you're ready, Garrett.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And God forbid you're doing a dramatic scene and you're like talking to someone, you hear, you're like, oh, fuck. Roll out. So he's laughing. Yeah, and I love it. He's laughing to death because he was a product of celluloid, and so was I. And those are the days.
Yeah.
Nothing like doing a huge explosion and having 5 cameras roll at 120 frames. The sound is amazing.
You ever heard of Robert George?
Oh, yeah.
He did the explosions on the Terminator, okay? And so this guy comes and Jim introduces me as this is a guy who's going to be responsible for the explosives, Michael. And I'm like, what? Yeah, huh? And I look, half his face is like burnt off. Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Jim used to tell me stories. I literally have, I know that we came on here to talk about Avatar. We completely deviated from the whole thing. I have so many stories of him telling me stuff from True Lies, from movies that you guys did. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Let me tell you guys something right now. The best stories you'll ever hear from him, because he'll talk about how, like in True Lies, when they drove the limousine off, right? He had a camera way out, and he's like, okay, it's safe out here. But the hood came off, and nobody knew this or not, but the hood flew like a Frisbee, And fortunately, the camera was far enough away so it was safe. But had he not been, because a lot of people are like, oh, it'll be safe. The car's never going to hit us. He's like, oh, that's not safe, though. What if something comes off? And like, oh, nothing's going to come off. The hood came off, and it flew like a Frisbee. And because he knows those things, Jim is the most safe director I've ever worked with.
Yes.
You know what?
He won't do anything
No.
that he wouldn't do himself either.
And
Yeah.
if you need another 4 hours, if we can't have to come back tomorrow and film, we will.
Yeah.
You know, and producers are like, well, that's no good because we don't have tomorrow. And he's like, well, fine tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what's good about him. You know.
We'll find tomorrow.
Yeah, but no one's getting hurt because he's like, you know, we're doing this safe then.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not rushing this.
Yeah.
You know, and of course, it's like he says, make the best movie you can. And if someone's like, well, you just have to cut the scene, you know, or cut the shot, he's like, I'm not doing that. You know, and that's how he makes the best movie he can.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why he's able to do what Jim Cameron does now, which is, you know, if he makes a movie and he still feels like there are certain scenes that are lacking, he's going to go fix them.
Let me ask you this. It looks like Avatar's going to like end up 1.5 billion, maybe 1.6. That's kind of what they're talking about now. And you don't even have to answer this if you don't want to, but do you have a gut? Because I have a gut that's basically saying that, I should say it if I want you to say it. You have a gut that there won't be any more Avatars. But 1.6, you know, that $1 billion, and, you know, yeah, go ahead.
So if you do the math and you realize that, you know, at one point, first of all, I mean, there's a number of movies that haven't made their money back. You know that, right? Like
Yes.
one battle after another did not make its money
No,
back.
I know it
No.
did. Not
Yeah.
even close. But I also heard, and Jim Anderson, not Jim Cameron, he's not around, but always looming. Jim, like I even heard that Tom Cruise's like what the seventh
Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible. Okay, that made like lots of money, but didn't make any
Not
money.
even close. Not even close. So here's the thing that I believe. Okay, number one, I believe there will be an Avatar 4 and 5.
You do believe?
I do believe, yes, 100%. And I can tell you why. If you do the math, first of all, this is the top grossing trilogy
Yep.
of all time,
Yes.
right? That's number
Yes.
one.
Yeah.
Number two, he has many more worlds to be explored. And that equates into Disneyland property, you know, to the theme parks. You know, right now they're building the extension to Disneyland itself to have another, to have Avatar World. Pandora's coming to Disneyland.
In L.A.
In LA.
Florida?
It's already in Florida.
Oh, it's
right?
already,
They already have it over there, and it's very successful, and people love it.
Okay.
At the same token, at 1.6 billion,
Yeah.
you know, so people have to understand that when you make a movie, let's say the movie costs $400 million to make,
Yeah.
right? They're going to put publicity into it to the tune of maybe like $300 million. So now you have to make back $700 million, but that's not even where it breaks even yet because the theaters take half. So that means that you have to increase the amount of money that you've made. So that's why he needs to make somewhere around 1.5, 1.6 billion to make his money back.
Right.
The hard question just boils down to this. You know, is it worth it for them to make more, to make 4 and 5?
Right.
And I believe it is, and I'll tell you why, because if you do make $1.6 billion, you've almost made your money back. You've almost cleared, right? On top of that, this is where they're going to make their money back more in the future. Jim has built these worlds now. So most people don't understand, and I'm sure has Jim told you guys this. This is the science of Avatar. When we first made Avatar, the world wasn't built. You know, we had sketches and drawings and animators and Weta and all these people were building the world, you know, Pandora itself, the creatures, the, you know, the water, the mountains,
everything.
And that was time consuming. That's what took so long. That's what took years.
Yeah.
Well, all those years have equated now to a library of worlds, of things. This stuff is already built. It's in a system. We no longer have to build another boat. We no longer have to build a spaceship. We no longer have to build a tree. We no longer have to build another Thanator. They're built. So the time it will take to make 4 and 5 will drastically decrease, which means it will cost less to make a 4 and a 5.
Right.
Which means that they will make their money back even more in those instances. And more so, you have to realize that, you know, with Avatar 3, he introduced a whole new world, wind traders, and a whole new group of people, the Ash people, which are fantastic.
Yes,
you know?
I agree.
There's so many more things to explore in 4 and 5, as well as, you know, spin-offs and TV series and things like that. This will be a very smart thing for them to do. And trust me, the stories he comes up with, no one in this world makes sequels better than Jim Cameron. Let's be honest. Aliens, which is the movie you did, was it better than number one? I believe it was.
Don't tell me T2 was better than the first one, okay?
I know you hate that. I know you hate that. Listen, now, I am a pure-hearted person, and I still think T1 was to me the best of all of them, and I'll tell you why.
Thank you.
I'll tell you why, because...
You're saying now you're saying the right thing.
No. I'll tell you why. It's because it was the introduction of this whole new thing that was going on, and the way you guys were on your heels the whole time was amazing. But T2 is just as good. And that you'll never find, because all of a sudden he turned, he subverted everyone's attention by making the bad guy, the villain, a good guy in the second one with a bit of comedy, and on top of all of that, he created new technology, and he created, new ways of making this transform itself in the future. So this movie as a sequel was a very smart move as a filmmaker.
Of course.
And listen, Michael Mann just said it right now. If you
Michael Mann, he must want something from Jim Cameron.
Not at all.
Because I'm joking around, but there was a couple of paragraphs of Michael Mann praising Jim Cameron, and it surprised me a little bit, just because you don't see big time star filmmakers like that talk so enthusiastically about other filmmakers. And that was go ahead.
I'll tell you why. And this is the biggest reason why. Okay. It's the reason why maybe Quentin Tarantino doesn't follow suit in that kind of aspect. Quentin Tarantino's movies are not real. When you watch them, they're not real. And I know you're over there going, no, but they're not. Let's be honest here. A lot of the stuff he does is ridiculous. You don't shoot at the ground in Inglourious Basterds and it looks like a wood chipper is throwing wood at you, right? But that's what he does, and it's okay. You don't have a big gun shootout in Django, which is a great gun shootout, by the way, and everyone's shooting their buddy on the ground. Oh, son of a bitch! And they're all shoot. It's real. It's outlandish.
Fantastical.
It's right. So that's his world.
Fantastical. Okay.
Michael Mann makes movies that are very real.
Yeah,
I believe that they happen.
Thief.
I believe that they happen.
I just watched Thief again over the weekend.
Dude, it doesn't matter what movie it is.
Yeah.
Heat. Collateral. You believe these movies really happen.
Yeah.
That's very similar to what Jim does.
Yeah.
Jim makes you believe that this Terminator could really be.
Yeah.
He makes you believe that there's really going to be a Pandora somewhere that we're going to go to, and that's what Michael Mann, relates to. He sees this and goes, holy smokes, this guy took one of the most fantastical scenarios he possibly could. Michael can't do it. Because Michael takes reality and makes reality, right?
Yes.
Jim takes fantasy and makes it reality.
Yes.
Not many people take fantasy and turn it into reality.
Creates fantasy.
That's right.
Yeah.
And a lot of his fantasy is becoming real. I think Michael Mann notices that. Look, what was Terminator is now the hype behind AI. Dude, what he did back in the 80s is now resonating 2025 as being, dude, AI could kill us all now, just like Terminator was. But that's why Michael Mann is going to sit here and say this is a magnum opus, because not only did this man make a movie, he made something that possibly is going to take place in the future, as he has shown many times in the past.
Yes.
Listen, Aliens, he puts Sigourney Weaver into this suit, this loader suit.
Yes.
Right? Next thing you know, you see people in the military right now that are using those suits.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that this is like back in the day, people would wear suits like that and they would look like Iron Man, or it would look like, Voltron, or, Japanese anime. It was not going to happen, and it won't happen because that's ridiculous. But the suit that she was in was very real. And now we are seeing that it actually can happen. And that's how good he is at being smart. He's going to create something that possibly will be an invention in the future. And probably people are starting to take his, creations, and they're going, let's make this work.
Well,
sorry to cut you off, but yeah, we got to wrap it up.
Okay.
We got the other podcast coming in right now.
Sorry.
But I just wanted to know, I know you just finished filming it. You're cutting it right now. Can we get any kind of vague release date on Painter?
So I can't give you a release date on it, and I can tell you why, because, look, when I first got the movie, they were like, we love this for Hulu. And I was like, look, I'll do whatever you guys want. because I really want to make this movie. However, you know, afterwards, the producers really do love the movie. I love the movie myself. A lot of people have been impressed with the movie. And so, you know, there is a slight chance that it could get a theatrical. So that's why there won't be a release date yet right now, because as you guys know, theatrical is a very, very difficult world to navigate. Yeah. You have to release at the right time against the right things. And so it's one of those things where I can't tell you if it will go straight to Hulu, which I'll be happy with, or if it'll go to possibly a theatrical release.
Okay.
You know, but the good news is that the movie has turned out well and people do respond to it so far. Like, it's very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
Did you,
Great.
last thing, very quickly, did you have that meeting today?
Oh, that's tomorrow. So today I was getting ready for tomorrow. And I thought, so tomorrow I have a very big meeting. Dude, guys, I'm telling you right now, I'm living my best. I'm so excited about like things. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. I'm like, woo, I'm like doing hockey dances and stuff all the time at 56. Yeah. But, you know, the guy that I'm going to see tomorrow is a very, very big name in the studio industry. And so to be able to get an audience with him makes you go, whoa, I can't believe I got here. At the same token, you know, today I was preparing for it because he wanted to see a scene. So I was doing, you know, cuts and so forth. And we thought that maybe if I wound up staying too long, doing an edit and getting music ready and maybe fudging certain special effects and visual effects, that I was going to maybe not be able to make it today. But no, we crushed it. By noon, we were done. I was good. Okay. Yeah. And listen, I have a great team. My whole group of people that are working with me and for me. Fox, God bless you guys. You're amazing. Steve Asbell, JR. I mean, I'm just going to say, guys, these are names like Steve Asbell was the head of Fox for the longest time. He is still the head of Fox with Disney, and he's still over there, and he's amazing. And he gives you the tools. Everything is in-house, and it's so good. So, you know, I can't tell you how most of the time this would never happen.
You're going to come back here when the movie comes out, and maybe you can bring one of your stars with you.
I will.
Okay.
I will.
All
I will. First of all, I want to bring Amber, because I think Amber, guys, you have no idea. Wait till you see her. Seriously, wait till you see her.
Okay.
She's going to crush your imagination of what a female action star is.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very real. All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dirtier than you are doing.